This is Viper Strike of Mamba.
Did you really think this would work?
So welcome to another build guide with Spider Urban. This is no doubt the best build that I've done this league. And before we start, I really have to give a huge shout out to Mathil for basically this specific clip in the video. This is the moment. Look at the whole expedition got cleared. Link in the description below. Viper Strike of the Mamba is another version of Viper Strike. As you might know already, regular Viper Strike is basically attack skill that poisons on hit. However, the new Viper Strike can only poison once, and you cannot inflict another poison on enemy. So, why would we ever want to play this skill? The reason is this line, 200% more damage with poison. And now, all we do is combine this with low tolerance, which is perfect for our build, because it makes us deal 300% increased damage against non-poisoned enemies. If we use voices, we can get up to 6 sources of low tolerance, as well as 1 mastery from a poison mastery that also does the same. Combining this, even on budget version, we have over 2000% increased and almost 1800% more damage. Okay, but what you do to have that good clear? The answer is Bino's Kitchen Knife. Bino's Kitchen Knife allows us to proliferate poison, I mean spread it to other enemies, and this effect normally is only available from Pathfinder Ascendancy, but we can ignore Pathfinder and just take one Bino and play literally any other Ascendancy in the game. And we've decided to play Trickster, because that's probably the best Ascendancy on the right side of the tree. And on the boss, all you do is place Wither Totems, cast Despair, and ambush for empowered attack, which looks like this. Before we go through both of these POPs, I will just very quickly mention, there is no leveling POP. You are better leveling any other build to at least level 90 before starting this, because there is too many things you need to first figure out before playing Viper Strike of Mamba. So now, having that out of the way, let's get to the POP. I will very quickly go through the 90 POP because that's literally the bare minimum that you are doing, and I highly advise you to invest a lot of currency into this to make it feel really good. So this level 90 POP on a budget has everything fixed up, and you can literally start playing this. You have 100% hit chance as well as 100% crit chance without ambush and other flasks. but the main difference is that on a budget version we use Elusive and we use Nightblade support. We use Nightblade support because that's the cheap way to get some crit chance on Elusive as well as decent crit multi, and we take this Dagger Wheel as well as this Dagger Mastery for additional effect and crit multi. Elusive effect is also thing you can scale really hard if you want, for example, to get Mistwalker from Assassin, which will effectively make you crit immune as well as get even more damage if you don't want to go Toxic Delivery. Other than that, these 3 scales take most of the things that you need. We have 6 low tolerance as well as a Poison Mastery, and we also have a way to get to 100% spell suppression on 0 conditions without Quartz Flask. The gems are all awakened, however they do not really impact your damage in a very crazy way. The main thing that impacts your damage is obviously insane more multiplier as well as over 2100 increased from low tolerances. Other stuff is 2 auras with precision with Enlighten 3 and cast when damage taken Immortal Call, which is actually better than Steel Skin, because Steel Skin requires lots of strength and Immortal Call doesn't. It effectively requires 88, but it shouldn't be super hard to get to here. As the only curse we use Assassin's Mark, and the main difference you need to realize if you're playing on a budget is that you need to use Withering Step instead of Wither Totems. Single Withering Step will apply 14 Wither stacks, which will almost double your damage, so make sure you use Withering Step while fighting tougher enemies. All other stuff is really non-conditional. We get charges from Ralakesh, because we need power charges to cap our crit chance. And going through all other gear, everything is like very easy to get. Double Bindnos is basically tier 0 unique, and they are kinda expensive, but you can replace second Bindnos with any self-crafted dagger if you want to. And everything else is basically very basic gear. All the rare gear that I'm showcasing here doesn't have really incredibly hard to get mods, and you mainly focus on implicits anyways. So the helmet should give you some ES as well as implicits, reduced mana cost of attacks and Fist taken as chaos. The armor should have some evasion and energy shield, and then maybe crafted spell suppression if you struggle with capping that. And for implicits, Fist taken as chaos and probably max lightning res. There is also an option to go for aura effect, however you can decide on that. On gloves, some ES, maybe crafted accuracy or like any accuracy just to get to 100% hit chance. And very important implicits are suppress and strike skills target 1 additional nearby enemy. This is actually a very important one. In more expensive version we get this to 2 additional nearby enemies, because that's very good. Ralakesh is for all the charges. Endurance charges are a big help to our early survivability, because as you can see our Fizz max hit is not amazing, but it's not super bad either. Ashes of the Stars is one of the 2 amulets that you can use. Ashes of the Stars is a bit easier, and it makes you boost stuff like Withering Step, Viper Strike of Mamba, and so on and so on. Rings is basically get some ES, accuracy, maybe Crusader Ring for energy shield, and then Crusader Bear for even more energy shield. Obviously you want to cap your res. I didn't bother to like insert res here because you can do it yourself. The flasks are like Stipinite, Jade, Quartz, Silver, Quicksilver. All the cluster jewels literally don't have any stats on them, so you can insert some attributes if you need to, or resistances. And jewels are literally like very cheap. They maybe cost 5 to 10 chaos and then help you with some damage and ES. Maybe you need like 1 jewel to get some of the crit chance, but that's basically it. I've actually be putting a search where you can search specific jewels for your build, which contain max ES as well as some crit multi, crit chance, and maybe even accuracy rating. As you can see, the search works perfectly fine. You can find like maybe more expensive or also jewels that cost like 1-2 chaos that you can just pick up from the market and just start playing the build already. And one last thing, you can like use Withering Step, but other than that I think I'm missing like 4 gems in this version, because I literally didn't know what to put in the budget version. You can put up literally anything you want. That's how this build is like very powerful. Moving on to the more exciting version. First of all, yes, I'm using Maple, but it's like super quality of life. If you can like get it as your last item, that's perfect. But other than that, you can use things like Darkness and Front with insane Abyss jewels. You can use Crusader belt with some decent ES. You can even use Tides of Time. You can pick up any belt on this slot, and then Mage Belt is like your finishing touch to the build. Mage Belt does not give you damage. So first of all, we are not doing Nightblade stuff because it's a bit worse to scale. And instead we just pick up more crit multi from the tree, I believe, as well as buff down to this deal damage faster. We still have decent duration on our poison. In my case, it's like 3.5 seconds. Second of all, things that I've picked up myself is Light of Winning. In this place, we are like taking lots of nodes here, even though it's not perfect buffing, but this gives me like 2200 ES. It's kinda expensive, it's like 65 div while I'm recording, but you are allocating lots of nodes here because they are like all give you decent stats, and the survivability part is really good. From other things that are worth mentioning, 50% more accuracy at close range is the best accuracy mastery. In game you will not be able to sometimes see 100% hit chance, but with this you actually have 100%. And in order to fit more auras, I'm actually using Reservation Efficiency Cluster, which also have some strength on it, which I want to have Steel Skin, and we get Sublime Form for Grace Reservation Efficiency. I also insert some good jewels, as well as some Corrupted Blood immunity. My Watcher's Eye is like damage and evade attacks, because I already cap more spell suppression, mostly through Mage Blood, but you can also cap it with Watcher's Eye. And through playtesting, I found out that Leaf Shade is very good if you are, for example, mapping tier 17s with stuff like Cyrus, Degens, Searing Exarch Degens, or literally any Degen. Leaf Shade is really perfect and it costs you only 2 points on the tree. And both versions use Arcane Focus as Anoint. The reason why Anoint specifically something like this is, in my version it gets me over 10k, and we don't really need anointing things like Charisma. The reason why we don't actually need to run things like Charisma is that we get quite a lot of mana while dealing damage. In this version currently I have Clarity, but when I disable it I still have enough mana to like literally do anything which involves Mark on Hit Alchemist's Mark. We still have insane mana pool, which enable us to reserve stuff like Malevolence, High Level Precision, Grace, and Herald of Agony. Our total DPS including everything, which basically is also config with 0 things, and if I insert things like Wither Stacks, the damage even goes higher. With no Wither Stacks we hit 23 million DPS. This is all unconditional, there is like literally nothing to take except maybe close range to get our hit chance to 100%. And full life, which on the first hit it always works. We use Wither Totems for our Wither source. You can also use Withering Step, use whatever you like. We support Alchemist Mark with Enhance and Mark on Hit, and then we use Ambush. We self-cast Despair, and we use Frostblink for mobility, and Automation Steel Skin for more survivability, which, if we tick it on, it makes us survive more stuff. Going through the gear, there is lots of things going on. I have a very good dagger. For the dagger, obviously you want to go for as much fizz damage, and flat chaos is actually better than hybrid fizz damage. I decided to not gamble on suffixes, so I crafted crit multi and crit chance strength int. For the helmet I decided to cross 500 energy shield barrier and then went for regular implicits. I stopped at fizz against fire because I rolled it with grants and I didn't want to spend more grants on it. Get as much ES and preferably some intelligence if you can, that's probably alright. The armor is also get as much evasion and energy shield as possible. Once you are done with prefixes you can also try to get some decent suffixes like intelligence and res, and both helmet and body armor are majority of your energy shield as well as evasion, so keep in mind that when you are trying to put the build together. Also on the armor, fist against chaos is great, and crit multi for attack damage. In my case it's only for unique enemies, but you still have way too much damage for regular content, so that's probably fine. Gloves are one of the sources where you can fit some accuracy. In my case I did that. I also got some decent ES and decided to go for suppress spell damage and non-Vol Strike target to additional nearby enemies. This is actually second best tier, so you'll need to try to gamble your way through all of conflicts to get there, but it's very much worth it. Boots is also ES. You can get movement speed on boots, it's not a huge loss of energy shield. In my case, I use Mayblood so I could drop movement speed on boots and get more ES. And also you get some movement speed from implicits. Don't get action speed doesn't do anything. And also I got some Blaze extra chaos which gives me damage. On the jewelry, we drop Ashes of the Stars because it's way easier to cap our crit with Angel's Harmony. It's almost 420% global critical strike chance, and with this we don't need power charges, we don't need insane scaling from the tree, and even if I untick ambush, I still have almost 100% chance to crit, which is the thing you need to cap out. And as I mentioned, with all the stuff that you are doing on the tree, you don't need to anoint things like Charisma. You can go for either Arcane Focus, or other thing you can do is anoint Disciple of Unyielding. So while you are mapping, you have 3 endurance charges and you are way more tankier to fist damage. However, this will not really help you on bosses, so Arcane Focus is actually better. For the rest of the gear, the other damning is some all res as well as extra curse, so we don't need to get Whispers of Doom. And the other ring is literally anything you want. In my case, I got some resistances as well as, in my case, I got also Fractured Crit Multi. 1 non-channeling is all you really need to get this build going. You have really good intelligence and lots of mana, so 1 non-channeling will basically leave you enough mana pool to get all your stuff going. And of course, Mageblood, there's like no need to explain it. In my case, Mageblood gives me stun immunity, it also gives me ailment immunity with Storm Shroud and avoid shock on Flask. And for stun immunity we craft Suffix and get 1 tattoo for avoid being stunned. You also get insane invasion as well as movement speed, that's obviously to be expected. On my budget level we use Voices Freeze. It's way better than Voice 5s, it saves us 2 passive points for a price of around 100 divs, which is of course expensive, but that's how we want to like scale it to like very good version. And for Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh combo, best DPS is Toxic Delivery, but you can go for Mistwalker, you can also go for Ambush and Assassinate. If you want to, you can even go for things like Heartstopper or even Soul Drinker. Literally, most of the stuff from the Shadow area is like very good. Of course, Harness the Void is like one of the most expensive ones and it's probably not even worth to take it. But still, you can take anything. If you can afford Toxic Delivery, it's probably fine to take it. And for my medium class searchwares, I didn't care about other notable, I just went for some attributes and maybe res, but mostly it was like either dex, intelligence or some strength. So this way I could go my way up to 155 strength to use Steel Skin Automation. And that's basically it. This build is ailment immune, stun immune, spell suppress capped. It can hit dot cap in some scenarios on regular bosses, and on Uber bosses it might hit 10 million DPS depending on the scenario. And it all does with like no charges and basically stacking increased and more multipliers. That's basically the build. I hope you guys liked it. That's literally the best build that I've made. I've never seen this much damage on Ubers as well as regular bosses. And the clear is like very good. Maybe the only thing that you will not be able to do is Rogue Exile Titanic farm. But for all other content, this build is pretty much all you need. I like this build so much that not only I call it for me the build of the league, but I will also update it as soon as there are like some changes in like 3.26 or in other patch notes until the build is dead. I will also mention that I'm streaming on Twitch. I'm streaming 3 to 4 times a week. I'm making content for new videos and I start around 7 PM Central Europe time zone. So if you want to come and watch some PoE community and maybe also something else, you are free to drop a follow. And before the end of September I also want to make 2 more builds. Let's keep the streak going and just see what can I come up with. So see ya in the next video.